Welcome to the Downcourt Podcast, where we talk everything WNBA. I'm your host, Drew, and today we are talking the MVP race, the top performing rookies of the year, the Fever facing another injury with Sophie Cunningham, and the playoff race coming down to the last couple weeks. Now let's just jump right into the MVP race because Napheesa Colliers is still the frontrunner for the MVP, and I believe she's going to win that award. But let's talk about two players who have an outside shot at winning the award, since Napheesa Colliers' injury could have potentially opened the door for them. So Alyssa Thomas and A'ja Wilson. Now, both of these players have been dominant in kind of completely different ways, where Alyssa Thomas gets her teammates involved. She's really dominant passer. She's getting triple doubles. I believe she has 4 triple doubles in this month already. And A'ja Wilson is probably the best overall player in the league. She's a dominant isolation player. She hits a great fadeaway jumper. She's rebounding like crazy this season. Now, again, earlier in the season, I had A'ja Wilson completely written off in this award only because her team was struggling to find wins. They were struggling to find anyone outside of A'ja to be able to contribute consistently. So this is a Aces team with a lot of talent. They have multiple All-Stars on their roster. They've made a trade for Alyssa Smith halfway through the season, and now they went from a team that I thought, are the Aces going to miss playoffs, to a team that is jockeying for potentially the number 2 seed. And as much as Becky Hammon seemed to struggle in the early parts of the season, you have to get credit where credit's due. And Becky Hammon has been trying out different lineups, trying different rotations, and it seems like somehow they found a way to put together some wins late here in the season, and they've corrected course. But the main reason of that is A'ja Wilson's consistency, and she's been dominant down low. She's been dominant on the boards. She is really the centerpiece, and almost to their detriment, to where there was times this season where Jackie Young just passes it down low to A'ja Wilson, and the rest of the team just kind of stands around and waits for A'ja to make something happen. So the key for them was getting other people involved, and it seems like they found enough of that for the Aces as a team to be competitive, and that for me has pushed A'ja Wilson back to the top of this list. Now, Alyssa Thomas, it almost feels opposite. Like, the Aces were the cream of the crop. They were at the top, but they were somehow performing in the middle of the pack. The Mercury feel like they were kind of the middle of the pack, and now Alyssa Thomas has them overperforming, and they've been near the top of the standings for most of the season. And outside of Alyssa Thomas, I don't think any of their players have been consistently performing for the full season. I think there's been some ebbs and flows to their roster. Like, Clea Copper is now really turning it on. Satu Sabali, early in the season, I thought was performing well, and then you had this weird situation where DeWanna Bonner comes in and takes the starting job. Sabali's on the bench, not getting any time, but now that seems to have worked itself out, and they're both playing minutes. But the anchor through all of that is Alyssa Thomas putting up assists, putting up rebounds, putting up points, doing everything she can. And this Mercury team, if she's performing at the top of her game and healthy enough, they can go far in this playoffs. So there's another player that I want to throw out there that I thought had an outside shot of winning this, but unfortunately they weren't able to really capitalize on the moment, and that's Sabrina Ionescu. Now, don't get me wrong, she's been awesome this season. I think she really took some advice from Steph Curry and bulked up this offseason to be able to drive the lane and score in the paint better, and now she's an every level scorer. She's really been able to get to the free throw line. She's able to finish a lot better. So she's been great, but this is a Liberty team that's been battling injuries all season. They had Jonquel Jones out for a while earlier. Right when she gets back and we think that everything's going to go smoothly, Breanna Stewart's hurt. Kennedy Burke, I believe, was out for a bit. So with Stewart being out specifically, I thought this could be, obviously it's going to be challenging, but it could also be a benefit Sabrina individually to be the lone superstar on the Liberty and really showcase her talent, showcase her skills, and potentially get bumped into this MVP conversation if she played well enough. And she is playing well, she's scoring, but unfortunately, without Breanna Stewart, the Liberty are 4-6, and we're really just struggling to keep it together and put together wins. And I think they just weren't able to put together enough wins for Sabrina to really push herself up higher on the MVP list. If I had to say to choose someone today to win the award, I'm definitely giving it to Napheesa Colliers. But there is a world where I could see A'ja Wilson winning it, especially if the Aces continue to be a team that's winning games and could even secure the second seed. And then if you look at the Lynx, you could have an argument where you say, well, they are good even without Napheesa. And the Aces clearly rely on A'ja Wilson way more than the Lynx rely on Napheesa Colliers. So there's arguments to be made. Let me know how you think. Do you think that Alyssa Thomas, A'ja Wilson, or Napheesa Colliers are the MVP? Or do you think this has been settled for a while now? It's Napheesa Colliers. Now, the other award that's getting a lot of media attention and from the fans is the Rookie of the Year award. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make a case for Citrone or Kiki to win the award. I think it's going to go to Paige. She's been awesome on a bad team. And like, you could throw out all the numbers, like she's scoring. She's the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 500 points and 150 assists. She's been putting up multiple over 20-point games. She has over 30-point games. So she's been everything that we thought she was going to be coming into this season, where, yeah, she had her injury at UConn. They go on to win the national championship. I thought coming in was very pro ready. Once she was able to get enough minutes to make impact on the game, she really just hit the ground running. So I think it's going to her. But you look at some of these other rookies, I don't think they're getting the media coverage that they deserve. I think what Sonia Citrone and Kiki Iriafan have done this season is so impressive, especially on a Mystics team that, well, they already traded Brittany Sykes and it feels like they're just kind of selling on the season. They've fought and they've hovered around that 8th spot to get into playoffs, but I don't expect them to make it this year. I think give another off season. This is a young team. They have 3 first-round picks. Bring back your 2 building blocks and Kiki and Sonia, and Shakira Austin has been really awesome for them, and add a couple pieces in the draft and in free agency. This could be a very dangerous team for years to come, but just not this season. The other rookie I wanted to talk about that I feel like is not getting nearly enough buzz is Saniya Rivers. Now, I wrote an article at the All-Star break picking who I thought would be who would make the all-rookie team. And I had Saniya Rivers in there only because I was thinking the games that I've watched her, she's been really impressive, but she wasn't getting enough minutes. And I was thinking, okay, this is a team that's not really playing for anything. They're just kind of trying to get some talent out there and see what happens. And if they can increase her minutes, her performance is going to just get better and better. And that's what's happened. She's really taken off. She's an elite defender. I honestly consider her for an all defensive team at this point. And she can score at all levels. I know her 3-point percentage is like 28%, but I've seen she can hit threes, and she only takes, I want to say, like 2 threes a game. That I think will get better as she plays more and going into next year. But she can hit a mid-range. She can score at the basket, can pick you up full court, and she's caused so many turnovers. She's really an impressive player. And on a Sun team that kind of had some games this year where you're like, wow, they just really packed it in and they're getting blown out and they gave up, it feels like, halfway through. There's been some games where they've really fought, and I think Saniya Rivers has been a catalyst to say, hey, we're going to fight to the end, even though we're not on the level of these other teams right now, and the games aren't going our way. And they've really, I think, even though they're not winning, have shown some heart. And I think to be able to build this roster around Saniya Rivers, you have Lacan, who's looked really good lately, Anissa Morrow, Mabry, even Nelson Ododa. There's some talent there, and you have to find something to feel a little optimistic about this Connecticut Sun team. There could be a relocation in them coming this offseason, hopefully, to get them to a bigger market and attract better free agents. So all hope's not lost if you're a Connecticut Sun fan, because Saniya Rivers is really the truth. And I think she's not going to get any Rookie of the Year votes, but I would look out for her on an all-defensive team. So really impressive rookie year. All right, I wanted to talk about the Fever and Sophie Cunningham. because Sophie Cunningham this week is getting MRIs on her ankle after getting her leg rolled on by Bria Hartley.
Scary moment as we went to commercial. Sophie Cunningham hit the floor hard.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it.
I don't know if this was intentional. I saw the video, and to me, it looked like, okay, maybe she could have just fell instead of lunging towards her leg, and I'm not making an accusation because I don't know if it was intentional. I'd actually like to see the comments if you guys believe this was intentional for her to dive at Sophie Cunningham's ankle. And this is especially coming off of a recent ejection Bria Hartley got against the Chicago Sky, where she was getting into it with other players too. So kind of building a little of a reputation there for Bria. And I know Sophie is kind of a rough player too, very physical. But this has actually raised some questions about the officiating itself. I've seen kind of online and from fans. Sophie Cunningham has been actively vocal about the refs and the bad officiating. She just created her own podcast and she's got fined, I believe, twice from it, from talking about the refs on the podcast already. But they definitely do not give Sophie Cunningham a favorable whistle, and they let other teams be very physical with this Fever team, and specifically with Sophie Cunningham and with Caitlin Clark. So to see Sophie get hurt, especially at a time where Caitlin and Sophie are two of the most popular players in the league right now. They are essentially faces of your league, and you are letting other teams really beat them up and be physical with them and not calling fouls. And now it's led to multiple injuries from both of them. You want your best players on the court, and in order to do that, you have to protect them through your officiating. And I'm not saying to give them more foul calls than everyone else, but you have to be able to protect them. You have to call any overly physical plays and set the tone of the game early on so that you're not letting other players and other teams really hurt your star players. I know the officiating is something that the players are going to talk with the league about in the upcoming collective bargaining agreement, and they want better officiating. The league needs to invest in better officiating, and I think the league also has to take a step back and look. Like, I'm not saying Caitlin and Sophie are the only reasons that they're getting so much fan interest and so much media coverage, but they are big parts of it. They are faces of your league, and so you need to do a better job officiating in order to protect them and keep them on the court. The NBA gives its superstars superstar treatment. They would not let their faces of the league, their top players, just get abused on the court without trying to maintain that. The NFL, even, they protect quarterbacks because they know that is their best product on the field. They need to be able to make sure that they're out there every week. They're out there every game. So I think the WNBA just needs to take a look at themselves and say, okay, we need better officiating so that our superstars are on the court at all times. But it really also just adds to a kind of disappointing season for the Fever in a year where it's Caitlin's second year. You know that they're going to take a jump from her rookie year. You have a lot of talent on the roster, and now it's been kind of depleted. You've had Caitlin Clark in and out of the lineup all season. It seems like Sophie Cunningham could be done for the year. Sydney Colson's out. Ari McDonald, who came in the middle of the season and really gave them a spark off the bench, she's now out. I just don't know how much longer this Fever team, even if Caitlin comes back for the playoffs, how long can this Fever team really hold it together and compete? And it just really sucks where like one of your kind of marquee teams with Caitlin is not going to be at their best ability going into the playoffs, if they even make the playoffs, because that leads us to our final topic, where it's a playoff race. Anything could happen right now. There's a lot of teams still in it. Going to take a look at the standings here, where I'm just going to go down to that bottom area in the final three spots. The Fever are at 19 wins. The Valkyrie are in the 7th spot with 18. And then you have the Seattle Storm at 17 wins. And tied for that 9th spot are the Sparks and Mystics with 16 wins. Now, I'd go and say I'm just going to push the Mystics right out of this. No offense. but I wouldn't bank on them to be able to cover the ground to get into the playoffs right now. The Storm and the Sparks, to me, are two very dangerous teams in the playoffs. If either of these teams could get in, I could see them winning it. I can see the Storm with now Brittany Sykes, with Gabby Williams, with Ogumake, with Skylar Diggins. Like, this is a loaded roster, and it's a veteran roster. I think this Storm team, nobody would want to see them in the first round. And then you have the Sparks. The Sparks now got Cameron Brink back. I think they had a real bench problem earlier in the season. They had a solid, I want to say, top 4 or 5 players, but after that it was looking a little shaky. That problem has been solved now because Julie Almond has been amazing as of late. She really has been a guard that pulls the rest of the team together, and she's been making great plays. Ray Burrell has been solid for them. Rakia Jackson seems to have found her rhythm scoring. Julie Van Loo off the bench as well has brought something for them. And that's not even getting into their really high level scorers with like Kelsey Plum, Hamby, and Azare Stevens has been a good big for them, shooting threes and in the inside. So this team has everything you could ask for, and they're deep and they're hot right now going into the playoffs. I think if the playoffs started today with the Sparks in it, I'd probably have them probably top 3 for me of my picks to win it all. So I hope they sneak in and we can really see if they can compete with the best teams. But it's going to be tough. They dug themselves such a deep hole earlier in the season by not winning a lot of games. And that might come back to bite them at the end here, because the team in the 7th spot, the Golden State Valkyrie, if you would have told me after Kayla Thornton's injury that they would still be holding on to a playoff spot, I wouldn't have believed you, because this is a young team as well. This is an expansion team in their first year, and the way they've been able to come together. They have their first round pick who hasn't even played yet. In my eyes, Natalie Nakase, their coach, is the coach of the year. To be able to do what they're doing and compete how they're competing, and not just do it one way. They've had to switch around this lineup in this rotation through injuries and through other players getting signed and coming on and being able to contribute. It's been really special what they've been able to build in San Francisco with this team. Coach of the year goes to Valkyrie's coach, Natalie Nakase, and I hope they hold on to this playoff spot and make it in. Now, you might be asking, if the Storm and the Sparks are in and the Valkyrie in, who's the team that's going to fall out? It's going to be a close one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Fever start to kind of lose hold of this 6th spot that they have here. It's going to be tough for a team like the Sparks, who's 3 games behind them, to really overtake them in the standings. But you just got to think, they're so decimated by injury. They just won a nail-biter against the Kinetic Sun in overtime. Yes, you feel good that they won an overtime game in a close one. It was a huge comeback, but at the same time, you're like, okay, but the Connecticut Sun are the worst team in the league, and they were dominating you for a while. Really mixed feelings on the Fever being able to hold on to that playoff spot. But that's all I'm going to have for these topics today. If you enjoyed listening to this, please like, comment, subscribe. For audio version on Spotify and Apple Pods, we are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Everything you can find in our bio, in the description, all that good stuff. Please follow and support, and we'll see you next time.